Oh, the media spin after last night's Republican presidential debate would have us believe Texas Governor Rick Perry got pounded into submission and Congressman Ron Paul got booed off the stage. Well, neither is true. But did Ron Paul steal the show again like he did in one of the prior debates? Let's ask Republican strategist Jack Berkman. Jack, it's always a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch. Ron Paul articulated what was a standard Republican Party view before George W. Bush became president, which is that we shouldn't be engaging in nation building. We shouldn't be engaging in offensive wars. The military should only be used for defensive purposes. And some people applauded and some people booed. How did you read that?
Well, the fact that we're talking about him today, the fact that he's being discussed on Freedom Watch and is all this resonation, I think it's a great thing for Ron Paul. I think he's surging. Let me tell you this, Judge. Last night I hosted a national radio program with an extremely conservative audience. As I always do, I took a poll. Perry won, but in a very close 156 to 151, and Paul's support was a lot deeper. The thing about Ron Paul is his support is extremely deep. I'm going to make a bold prediction here, and you can play the tape back. This guy could come from behind as the horses turn for a home to win the nomination. I think the real issue with him, it's a little like Steve Forbes back in '96, where he's got to get rid of that kind of crazy professor look. They got to put him in a good suit. They got to fix his hair. He needs a campaign strategist. I'm not sure he has one. This guy has real support. I actually think he could win.
Well, he has succeeded in moving into the mainstream of the debate. I think you'll agree with me on this, Jack. Issues that were considered fringe 15, even 10, even 2.5 years ago, like whether or not we should have a gold standard, whether or not we even need a Federal Reserve, and if we're going to have the Federal Reserve, shouldn't we be able to audit it? Why we were attacked on 9/11, and do we really need 900 permanent military bases around the world? These were not mainstream subjects for conversation before Ron Paul brought them into the mainstream. So in that respect, he's changed the race already.
You say it very well, Judge, better than I can. I mean, he has done a great job in distilling complex issues that conservatives have on their mind into easily comprehensible things. I mean, I really think, and I think a lot of conservatives and libertarians think, that the bailout of AIG was one of the worst things. It's the only truly despotic thing the U.S. government ever did to its people. And I think everybody's thinking about the Federal Reserve, but I think Ron Paul has articulated it well, and he's put the Federal Reserve on the table as an issue. In terms of bases around the world, I mean, conservatives everywhere should be concerned about this. I mean, we're transferring power and money to Europe and Japan, who don't pay their fair share. At a minimum, if we're to continue to do this, others should be helping us. The United States just can't bear the cost.
Are the Rick Santorums and Newt Gingriches of the Republican Party out of step with the Republican Party, or has the Republican Party post-George W. Bush lost its small government, stay within the confines of the Constitution moorings that it had at one point in its history?
Well, yes and yes. Two good questions again. I think what's surfacing, as you say, is a kind of resurgence of the past in that there's an extreme focus on spending and budget cutting, and that has become the defining animus, the defining thing of the Republican Party going forward. So everybody has to get in step with that. Like if you take something like the Tea Party, I think it's complicated. I think Tea Party leaders look down on Ron Paul, but as I can tell you from the radio side, the groundswell of people, the average Tea Party supporter out there is starting to warm up to Ron Paul because of his concern with spending. Ron Paul could really be the sleeper in this. I think his support, I'll actually tell you, as a political strategist, I can tell you his support is deeper than any candidate I've seen or heard of in decades. Decades. I mean, it's almost like, oh, I don't know, on the Democratic side, thinking of something like Bobby Kennedy or something, where you have, although his political life was so short-lived, but I would analogize it to that, where you have people that are just so incredibly passionate about their candidate.
They're not going to go anywhere. Jack Berkman, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.